Because I was a girl with disabled legs, my parents despised me from the day I was born. This left me desperate for affection. Then, a man I met online made me feel loved and respected for the first time in my life. So I married him in a heartbeat. Our life after marriage was as sweet as honey. But my best friend, Wendy, warned me, he's handsome, fit, and has a great personality. Why would he fall for a disabled person like you? I thought she was just green with envy. Until an accident completely shattered my world. For a paltry bride price, my parents tried to force me to marry Rick Grimes, a local scoundrel. All because their precious son, my own brother, Leo, urgently needed my bride price to fund his lavish lifestyle in the city. Why should I be treated so unfairly? I won't marry him, I'd rather die, I roared, struggling to snatch back the luggage my mother had packed for me. My father, meanwhile, spun my wheelchair with all his might, desperate to push me out the door. A cripple like you gets to be picky about men. You should be grateful anyone wants you. $50,000 is a lot. If you were even slightly useful, with working legs, would we have to stoop so low and beg someone to take you? After a few futile struggles, my father grabbed a rope, ready to tie me up. My mother, afraid of causing a scene, started stuffing a rag into my mouth while cursing at me. I trembled with rage. It's just $50,000, isn't it? I'll give you $100,000, double the price to buy my own freedom to marry who I choose. Clearly, my parents were stunned by the astronomical sum I'd thrown out. $100,000? Where would you get that much money? We couldn't get that much even if we sold you. Just then, my phone rang. In the chaos, I managed to answer it and turn the speakerphone on full blast. I didn't know who was calling, but whoever it was, if they heard the commotion and called the police, I might be saved. Excuse me, are you Magic Flame, the author of 3/4 of Disaster Is You? This is Julian Shaw, your editor-in-chief. Congratulations, the film rights to your book have been sold. My parents froze. Seeing their dumbfounded expressions, I pressed my advantage. Could you please repeat what you just said? As the editor-in-chief's confident voice confirmed the news, my heartless parents' faces slowly twisted into expressions of glee. I hung up and said, "Now you believe me, don't you? I'll add another $10,000 on top of that for better food and care. If you don't want this money going to strangers, you'd better drop the idea of selling your daughter." My mother's expression changed in a flash. "Oh, my dear girl, Mom was just joking with you. You're my own flesh and blood, how could I ever bear to part with you?" "That's right, Daddy couldn't bear it either. I'll go tell that scoundrel to forget it right now. So, my darling daughter. That money," my father rubbed his hands together, his eyes glued to my phone. "Bank transfer notification, $110,000 has been received." "Oh my sweet baby must be starving. Mom will go make you dinner right now," I sneered inwardly. Money truly makes the world go round. After they left, I wearily opened my laptop, clicked on my pinned chat with Ethan Kavanaugh, and left him a message. "I'm so tired, and so alone." The next day, I received his reply. "You still have me," just 4 simple words, but they moved me to tears. Ethan had once been a minor hater who frequented my book's review section. But when my true identity was revealed and online criticism mounted, he single-handedly fought off the keyboard warriors, transforming from a critic to a devoted champion. He went from being a fan to a close friend I could tell anything to. I chatted with him as usual, but he seemed to sense something was off and suddenly sent a video call request. I panicked and declined, making up an excuse. Although we had known each other for a long time, we had never seen each other. But he wasn't upset that I had rejected the call. Instead, he sent a message. "I'm sorry, that was presumptuous of me. I was just worried and wanted to see if you were okay, but I forgot to consider your feelings. I hope you can forgive my recklessness." His unwavering gentleness softened my heart. I mustered my courage, put on some light makeup, and accepted the video call. "You're beautiful," he exclaimed, and his genuine admiration satisfied my vanity. His appearance was also a pleasant surprise. He was handsome and approachable. But just then, the courtyard gate was slammed open with a bang. Sis, I'm back. It was my brother, Leo, who had heard the news and rushed home overnight by bus. After some fake pleasantries, he lingered in my room. I frowned and asked, "Is there something else?" To my shock, Leo got straight to the point. "Sis, can you buy me a Lexus? I've had my eye on one for a while. Please." Pretty please, I didn't know much about cars, but from my research for writing, I knew that brands started at around $50,000. "I don't have that much money right now," I said, my face hardening as I wheeled myself toward my desk. "Wait for the next book." "Sis, what about the money from the film rights?" Leo pressed, not giving up. "I won't get that for at least 6 months." Leo gritted his teeth, his face a mask of displeasure. "Sis, don't lie to me. How could they not give you any money after signing the film rights?" "Let me see your phone." He reached for my phone, and I slapped his hand away. "I don't have it. You're all a bunch of bloodsuckers." Humiliated, Leo lunged and tried to snatch my phone. I couldn't fight him off, and he grabbed it. He tried to force my hand onto the fingerprint sensor to unlock it, but I resisted with all my might. My mother burst in at some point to help him. In the struggle, my wheelchair tipped over and I crashed heavily to the floor, my elbow throbbing with pain. In the end, I couldn't win. "How is it only $5,000? Leo yelled, disappointed. But despite his complaints, he transferred every last cent to his own account. I pushed myself up from the floor, slowly, painstakingly, and settled back into my wheelchair. Then, a horrifying realization hit me. I looked at my computer screen in terror. In the small window in the bottom right corner, Ethan was there, his face etched with anxiety, mouthing something. I could read his lips. He was calling my name. My head buzzed. I had forgotten to close the video call. He saw everything. My helplessness, my humiliation, my miserable state, he had seen it all. With a sense of grim resignation, I put my headphones back on. His anxious voice filled my ears. "Holly, Holly, are you okay? Where did you get hurt?" "Let me see." I didn't know what to say. His look of concern and heartache warmed my cold, numb heart. "Holly, I used to think you were a proud, strong, and intimidating woman." His voice was calm and rich. "Now I see that you're also fragile, that you need someone to protect you, to cherish you." I wished I could have reached through the screen to hold you, to shield you from all that pressure. "I don't want anyone to ever hurt you again." The tears finally broke through. For the first time, I let my guard down and showed my raw emotions to someone else. In that moment of shared vulnerability, we grew closer. "Holly, would you be willing to hear my story?" Perhaps to distract me, he told me about his job at a chemical plant after college. He had been with his first love for 3 years, but their relationship ended because of an exorbitant bride price. I wanted to work hard, save up enough money to marry her, but she didn't wait for me. She got married last year. His expression was melancholic, but his tone was calm as if he were talking about someone else. I'm a useless man. My heart ached for him, and I silently cursed that materialistic woman. But I couldn't help a flicker of secret joy. Good thing that woman didn't know what she was missing. Then, with a determined look, he asked me to be his girlfriend. "This time, I don't want to lose you. I want to take you away from this home. I'll do everything in my power to make you happy. Holly, I like you. Let me take care of you." I hadn't expected him to be so direct, so I told him my story. In high school, a boy had kissed me under an acacia tree on campus during the break in our evening study session. But afterward, he acted as if nothing had happened and even asked me to deliver a love letter to my deskmate. So, I created a series of misunderstandings between them, ensuring their romance was over before it even began. They'll probably go to their graves, never knowing that I was the one who destroyed their first love. But what did he expect? If you mess with me, you should be prepared to pay the price. Ethan didn't judge me for my past. Instead, he felt for me. The people who betray a true heart are the most despicable. Then, he said with utmost seriousness, "I will stand by my words. Trust me, Holly." And so, on that day, we officially started dating. "Holly, I quit my job." A week later, Ethan told me over a video call. "I've been having nightmares these past few days, dreaming that your family was bullying you. I wake up in a cold sweat. I can't take it anymore." I'm coming to you, I'm taking you away. Everything was happening so fast, so suddenly, that I didn't know how to respond. The days passed in my silence. I finally finished my novel. On a rainy night, I said to Ethan, "You can come now." On the day Ethan arrived, I made a special effort to dress up and wheeled myself to the edge of the village to wait for him. I recognized him instantly. He was wearing a silver gray puffer jacket and dark jeans, standing tall and handsome like a snow-dusted pine tree on a hillside. My heart fluttered, a mix of joy and sorrow. Our meeting wasn't as awkward as I'd imagined. It felt as natural as seeing a friend after many years apart, or like lovers reuniting after a long separation. He skillfully moved behind me and took the handles of my wheelchair. And as I looked past his gentle eyes, I felt a pair of hungry, wolf-like eyes fixed on us. Back home, my parents' jaws dropped. They were stunned into silence for a full 30 seconds when they saw Ethan. Leo eyed us up and down with a knowing look. Ethan's home was in a nearby city, not too far, but I didn't want to go. We decided to rent a place in town first. He would find a job, and we would save up to buy a house and pay off the mortgage together. I secretly showed Ethan my author account balance on the website. We exchanged mischievous glances. Leo refused to go back to work, lounging on the sofa at home playing video games. When he heard we were moving to town, he insisted on coming with us. "He's paying the rent. If you want to come, you'll have to contribute your share," I told Leo coolly. "What kind of sister asks her brother for rent? You've really let money blind you to family." My mother shot me a disapproving glare. Leo quickly chimed in, "Sis, I'll only stay until you buy me that car, okay?" "Sis, didn't you say you'd get the royalties in 6 months at most?" "I'll just stay for 6 months." Before I could say anything, Ethan gently tugged on my sleeve. "Let's just get moved out first." Ethan found an apartment in town. From the floor plan to the furniture, everything was perfectly suited for me. I was touched by his thoughtfulness. It felt like I was being cherished. The move went smoothly. My best friend, Wendy Harris, came to help me organize things. She was happier than I was. Although she hadn't gone to college because of a high school romance, she met a good man, Mark Peterson, while working in town, and they opened a bakery together. The first 2 years were tough, but her husband doted on her. After their daughter was born, he hired help so she wouldn't have to work anymore. And now, I had someone I loved too. I watched her stare blankly at Ethan, a ghostly expression on her face. I smugly observed her, feeling a sense of superiority over her for the first time. "Did you really just pick him up online?" Wendy's eyes kept darting toward the busy Ethan. "Are there any more? I'll go get one for myself." I burst out laughing. "You dare. Your husband would probably kill you." "Hey, listen." She lowered her voice, leaning close to my ear. "Are you sure he really likes you and isn't just after something else? What could he possibly be after?" The smile froze on my lips and my eyes glinted like ice. "You're different now. You may have a physical disability, but you're rich and famous," Wendy said, her face a mask of concern for me. "Some losers will fake being devoted just to get a piece of the fame and fortune. It happens all the time." I was furious that she would use such a tone, such words, to describe Ethan. It was more insulting than if she had insulted me directly. "So you're saying I don't deserve to be loved, is that it?" Wendy was taken aback, her face flushing red. "You're always so idealistic, living in your own fantasy world. Honestly, you should find a man with a disability like yours. That way, you can rely on each other, no one will look down on the other, and you can live a long, peaceful life together." Her words were like bullets, each one finding its mark on my heart, each one fatal. She had said similar things to me before, but never had they felt so humiliating. She dragged me from my fantasy world back into a bleak reality, forcing me to look in the mirror at my own legs, unable to stand. Years of disuse had made them thin and weak, a stark contrast to my upper body. Is this how Ethan saw me? We parted on bad terms. Before she left, she threw one last line at me. "You'll regret this sooner or later." After we settled into the rental, Ethan quickly found a job. The pay wasn't great, just enough to cover our living expenses. Once I received my royalty payment, we secretly made a down payment on a nearly 2,200 square foot house with a ground floor courtyard. Ethan said he would turn the largest room into a study for me and that he would handle all the renovations, so I wouldn't have to worry about a thing. Worried I'd be cold while writing in the winter, he built a large fireplace in the study. Worried I'd be hungry when he wasn't home, he bought a massive refrigerator and stocked it full of my favorite foods, placing it within my easy reach. During this time, we got married. We didn't have a wedding or a honeymoon. We didn't even tell our family or friends. I was terrified that if my parents found out I had bought such a nice house, they would eat me alive. One warm spring afternoon, I was home alone when my phone buzzed with a message. I opened it. Well, my dear wife, living the good life now, are we, keeping a little boy toy at home. Did you forget how your family begged me to marry you? What, you get famous and kick your man to the curb. I'm telling you, not a chance. It was him, that scoundrel I had almost been forced to marry, Rick Grimes. I never agreed to marry you. We have nothing to do with each other if you don't leave. I'm calling the police. I furiously typed on my phone, but he was a top-tier lowlife. He replied calmly, "The police? My wife just disappeared on me. I should be the one calling the police. I'll make this simple. Either you give me $1 million for my emotional distress, or don't blame me for what I do to your little boy toy." The image of those wolf-like eyes flashed in my mind. Don't believe me? Take a look out your window. I whipped my head toward the window under the pomegranate tree in the garden. A slightly stooped man was holding a phone, waving at me with a wicked grin. With trembling hands, I typed, "I don't have the money, either get lost or kill me." Then he called. I steadied myself and answered. A sinister laugh echoed in my ear. "I'm not interested in your life. If you're dead, where would I get my money? But your boy toy looks as fragile as a twig. I can't guarantee he'll make it home from work every day in one piece." I gasped, fear seizing my heart. I imagined Ethan lying in a pool of blood. "No," my teeth chattered uncontrollably. "Fine, I'll give you the money, but I don't have it right now. I just made the down payment on the house." He thought for a moment before reluctantly saying, "I'll give you 1 week." 1 month, I bargained. I make money by writing, I don't print it. 2 weeks, not a day longer. I don't have a job, so I can go wherever I want. If I happen to run into someone somewhere, my hands might get a little itchy. He hung up and made a throat-slitting gesture at me. I sat numbly in front of my computer, my mind a complete blank. Just then, Leo shuffled into my room. "Sis, give me some money. I need to pay my phone bill." Money, money, money every day. It was about money. His entitled tone sent me into a rage. I grabbed the paperweight from my desk and threw it at his face. Blood immediately gushed from his nose. Leo screamed and ran out. "Ah, murder!" I froze, a sudden flash of inspiration striking my mind. When Ethan came home from work that evening, he wrapped his arms around me from behind while I was engrossed in my writing. "What's wrong? You seem so angry." I leaned back into his embrace. "Did you give Leo money?" He hummed a soft yes. "I talked to him earlier. I offered him a job at my company, but he refused. I'll keep working on him, don't worry. If he doesn't want to go, then forget it," I said coldly. "Send him home in a few days." Ethan moved to face me, a look of confusion on his face. I gave him an apologetic smile. "I'm sorry." He was always so understanding. He knew I was upset with my brother and continued to hold me, comforting me. "Calm down, you don't need to apologize to me. I understand what you're going through." I didn't tell him about the scoundrel. I didn't want him to worry. That lowlife must have followed him. Otherwise, he couldn't have known where I lived. Over the next few days, I neurotically called Ethan often to make sure he was safe. That weekend, Wendy, whom I hadn't heard from in 2 months, suddenly burst in. Her hair was a mess, her eyes were swollen like walnuts, and her face was ashen. She saw me and started sobbing before she could even say a word. Ethan, seeing the situation, hovered awkwardly at the door, unsure whether to stay or go. I gave him a look to let him know it was fine, and he went to the kitchen. I gently patted Wendy's shoulder and handed her a tissue. Once she had cried herself out, I asked softly, "Did you and Mark have a fight?" Mark was her husband. "We're divorced," she sobbed, her voice thick with hatred and congestion. I was stunned. "What happened? Why would you get divorced all of a sudden?" Her expression stiffened, as if she had a secret she couldn't share. So I didn't press her and poured her a glass of water. She gulped it down, wiped her mouth, and said, "He cheated on me. What about the kids? Why didn't you bring her?" I was worried about her 2-year-old daughter. "I gave her to him." Wendy blew her nose hard. I frowned. "You were okay with that. Why wouldn't I be? It's just a child. I can always have another one later." I couldn't agree with her, but seeing her state, I didn't want to say anything. I was puzzled. Mark had always been completely devoted to her. Ever since she got pregnant, he hadn't let her do any strenuous work, taking on the bakery business all by himself so she could focus on the child at home. Wendy had boasted to me more than once that she held the family's finances in her hands. How could Mark have cheated on her in such a short time? I asked again, uneasily, "Are you sure Mark cheated? It wasn't a misunderstanding?" Wendy's expression flickered, her eyes darting around, but her tone was firm. "I'm sure anyway, we're already divorced." "Holly, I have nowhere to live. You have to take me in." Wendy's tone was a mix of whining and pleading. The rental was a 3-bedroom. I had one room as a study, and Leo sulked in his room, refusing to give it up. In the end, we decided that Ethan and I would stay in the study, and Wendy would take the master bedroom. I bought a silent keyboard and an eye mask for Ethan so the light from my late-night writing wouldn't disturb his sleep. The 4 of us settled in for the time being. The scoundrel's calls for money became more frequent, and I still hadn't figured out a solution. As if I wasn't already stressed enough, Leo came to cause more trouble. "Sis, you have to buy me that car now. I met a beautiful girl, and I want to ask her out." "Okay, in a few days, I'll consolidate the money onto one card and give it to you." Leo was surprised I agreed so readily. "You're the best, sis, you really are my sister." He then leaned over my shoulder, his hot breath tickling my neck. "So, can I go check out the car? I'll put a deposit down. It'd be great if I could take my girlfriend for a spin next weekend." "Go ahead. Get a good one, but don't spend more than $500,000. My quick agreement took him completely by surprise, but if he had looked closely, he would have seen that the smile on my face was as cold as frost. Leo left, humming and dancing. A sleepy Wendy walked over, stretched, and asked, "Are you really going to buy Leo a car? Do you have that much money?" "I'll scrape it together. The sooner I give it to him, the sooner the trouble's over," I said flatly. "Have you thought about what comes next? Now that Leo has a girlfriend, after the car, he's definitely going to ask you for a house." I didn't need her reminder. I knew that perfectly well. But what could I do? I had to take it one step at a time. This is delicious," Wendy said, enjoying her breakfast of savory wonton soup. "Did Ethan make this? He's such a good man." Her tone was tinged with jealousy. I scoffed. "Mark used to be like that too." "Don't mention him to me. It ruins my appetite." Wendy's face fell. After breakfast, she cleaned the kitchen, then came into my room and sat on the edge of the bed, staring into space for a while. Suddenly, she said, "Holly, have you ever noticed that Ethan looks a lot like Evan Cole?" My heart sank, and my fingers froze on the keyboard. Evan Cole was our high school classmate. He was her first love. And mine. No wonder I felt a strange sense of familiarity when I first saw Ethan's photo. "Oh, really? I don't see it," I replied nonchalantly, my fingers resuming their dance across the keyboard. I told Ethan about Leo's situation. When he heard I was pausing the renovations to use the money for Leo's car, his face fell for a second. When he smiled again, it was stiff. I clearly saw a flash of coldness in his eyes, but pretended not to notice. He always unconditionally respected my decisions, and this time was no different. He said he was tired and wanted to sleep early. I silently watched his face, covered by the eye mask. From his breathing, I knew he wasn't asleep. "I'm sorry, just bear with it a little longer," I whispered. As the weekend approached, the scoundrel sent a message. "I'm coming for the money tomorrow. Don't try any tricks. I can't get $1 million together right now. I'll give you half first and the rest at the end of the month." 5 minutes later, he replied, "Fine." We agreed to meet at 10 the next morning. That evening, Ethan came home and said he had a 3-day business trip and had to catch a 7 a.m. train the next morning. A weight lifted from my shoulders. I had been wondering how to get him out of the house. Wendy also said she was going to her mother's for 2 days. She had to tell her family about the divorce. It was as if the heavens were helping me. I sent Ethan off with an almost cheerful heart. As he was leaving, he gave me a light kiss on the lips and said with a half smile, "Why do I get the feeling you can't wait for me to leave? Are you up to something behind my back?" I couldn't tell him the truth, so I just laughed it off. "Don't be paranoid, you're going to be late." All right, the wife is always right. I'm going." He then gave me another affectionate kiss on the forehead. The moment he closed the door, my face hardened. I pulled a bank card from my wallet. Inside was the heavy weight of $500,000 I had transferred last night. I wheeled myself out of the house on time to meet the scoundrel. He smugly snatched the bank card from my hand. Seeing the pin I had sent him, he smirked lewdly. "I never realized you were so good-looking." He waved the card with a grotesque smile. "I'm going to check this. If the amount is wrong," he drew out his words, his eyes, with their unnervingly large whites, staring at me sinisterly. "You can forget about ever seeing your little boy toy again." I summoned all my strength and slapped him hard across the face. Smack! The sound was crisp and loud. He was stunned for a moment, then a crooked, wicked smile spread across his face. He pushed his tongue against the inside of his cheek. "You know, I'm suddenly finding you've got some real flavor. How about you dump that pretty boy and be with me? I guarantee I'm better than him. Get lost." If looks could kill, his body would have been riddled with holes. I returned home, my face pale as a sheet, to find a sweating Leo. "Sis, hurry up and give me the money. The car I want is in stock." I lifted my head weakly, looking at him as if he were a stranger, or as if I were looking at nothing at all. Only then did Leo notice my strange behavior. "Sis, why do you look so pale? Are you not feeling well?" Before I could answer, he pressed on. "Sis, hurry up with the money. I can't wait any longer. That model is in high demand. There's a long waiting list." "It's gone," I whispered faintly. "It's all gone." "What's gone?" "Sis, what do you mean?" Leo grabbed my shoulders and shook me anxiously. "The money." My gaze finally focused on his face. "The money is gone. How could it be gone?" Leo shrieked, flying into a rage. "You promised to buy me the car this weekend. Are you backing out again?" "No, get back in the room and get me the money." Leo pushed my wheelchair without another word, rushing into my bedroom. "Sis, where's the bank card?" He started rummaging through my backpack and drawers. "Stop looking. It was all stolen," I said, stopping his pointless search. Who stole it? How could it be stolen?" He stared at me, his fingers digging into my shoulders. I showed him the conversation with the scoundrel on my phone. His face grew darker as he read. When he finished, he gritted his teeth. "That bastard, how dare he? Sis, why didn't you tell me sooner? If you had, I would have dealt with him." Leo scolded me, frustrated. "How could you be so weak? You think giving him money once is enough? He'll just keep blackmailing you." He paced in front of me angrily, occasionally running his hands through his hair. "No, I have to get it back." He started to run out the door. I grabbed him. "Leo, don't go, he's a thug. There's no telling what he'll do." Leo forcefully pulled his hand away. "Stay out of this. I'm getting that money back today." Seeing he was determined to find the scoundrel, I was both scared and worried. "Leo, be careful, you should take something to defend yourself." Leo paused at the door, then turned and ran to the kitchen. When he came out, he was holding a boning knife. His face was ashen as he stormed out, slamming the building's main door with a bang. The sound made my heart tremble. At 3:10 p.m., the phone rang, startling me from my daze in front of the computer. As soon as I answered, my mother's earth-shattering sobs blasted through the receiver, making my ears ring. "Holly, you have to save your brother. The police took Leo away. You have to find some connections and bail him out. Don't you know some director, some chairman? Call them, beg them, hurry." My mother's voice was a hysterical, incoherent mess. "And money, get some money to bail your brother out?" I asked calmly. "Mom, what happened? Why was Leo taken by the police?" Why, I can't go on if something happens to Leo. I don't want to live anymore. My mother had completely lost her mind. After a while, I managed to piece together from her jumbled words that Leo had stabbed the scoundrel. The scoundrel, injured, had fled and, in his panic, ran into a truck. Both his legs were nearly crushed, and he was now in the hospital undergoing emergency surgery. Soon after, the police called, asking me about the bank card. They said Leo was caught on surveillance. After seeing the scoundrel lying in a pool of blood, he didn't call for an ambulance. Instead, he searched him, took the bank card, and fled. When the police found Leo, he was test driving a new car. When they brought him to the station, he stubbornly insisted the card was his, that it was the money his sister had given him for the car. It was indeed the money I intended to give him for a car, but it was stolen before I could. I explained the situation clearly to the police. Leo was very agitated when he left. I couldn't stop him because I'm disabled. The police offered a few words of comfort and hung up. During my video call with Ethan that night, he clearly noticed I was distracted. "Did something happen?" he asked with concern. I didn't tell him, just said we'd talk when he got back. He was wearing a bathrobe, clearly just out of the shower. His wet hair was casually draped over his forehead, looking incredibly alluring and sexy. I faintly heard the sound of running water through the microphone. I asked, "Did you forget to turn off the water after your shower?" He glanced behind him nervously, then smiled. "Of course not. You think I'm as forgetful as you. It's probably the room upstairs. The soundproofing here isn't great," he explained. He said he was a bit tired and hung up. But I couldn't fall asleep until late into the night, the sound of running water echoing in my dreams. Wendy returned a day before Ethan. "I thought your parents would have ripped you a new one, that you wouldn't be able to stand staying at home," I said with a smile, watching Wendy pull a few items from a canvas bag, cosmetics, a jewelry box, and the like. "What's there for them to say? If I can't make it work, I leave. Here, this is for you." She handed me a small golden jar. "If you don't start taking care of that face of yours, you'll look like an old hag. Be careful Ethan doesn't start looking elsewhere." I took it without ceremony and gave her a sideways glance. "HMPH, you underestimate Ethan. Did Mark give you a lot of money? You're being so generous." "He gave me all his savings on the condition that I give up our child," Wendy said with a triumphant smile. $1.2 million. Ha! What an idiot. I stared at her speechlessly for a moment, losing all interest in conversation. I returned to my desk. Wendy followed me in. "Holly, save a room for me in your new house, okay?" "What? You plan on freeloading off me for the rest of your life?" "Stingy, can't I just pay rent and living expenses?" Wendy sat on the edge of the bed. "I need a long time to heal right now, and I have nowhere to go. Just take pity on me and let me stay, please." "Fine, but you can't just sit around and do nothing. You have to find a job." I knew she had been unemployed for 2 or 3 years. It wasn't that she was out of touch with society, but she might have developed a lazy mindset. All right, you're starting to sound like my mother." Wendy quickly fled the room. The doorbell rang insistently. Wendy went to get it. My mother blew in like a gust of wind, grabbed my hand, and cried, "Holly, what are we going to do? Leo's been sentenced." "You have to do something. Leo is so young, he doesn't know any better." "It was just a moment of impulse," my mother wailed, tears streaming down her face. "Holly, he's your only brother. You have to save him. Pay a fine and get him out." Leo was sentenced to 7 years in prison for aggravated assault and ordered to pay the scoundrel $50,000 in compensation. The scoundrel was also sentenced for blackmail and extortion. My parents, who had placed all their hopes on their son, couldn't handle the blow. My mother's face was ashen. She cried, "Your father is sick with anger. We can't go on like this. Mom, I don't have that kind of power. You overestimate me." I pulled my hand away. "What about that bank card?" My mother paused. "He bought the car, sell the car. After paying the compensation, the rest is for you and Dad to manage," I said coldly. "As for Leo, the sentence is final. There's nothing to be done. Tell him to behave in there and try to get his sentence reduced." "This is the only way I can help you," I said, my expression grim. You know exactly how you've treated me my whole life. Just because I haven't brought it up doesn't mean I'm okay with it. Don't come looking for me unless it's important. I'll give you what you're owed." Seeing that her tantrum wasn't working, my mother left dejectedly. When Ethan heard what happened, he rushed back overnight. "Holly, why didn't you tell me something so big was happening?" He looked me up and down, relieved to see I was unharmed, and hugged me. "I get scared just thinking about it. If something had happened to you, I would have felt guilty for the rest of my life." I patted his back gently. "It's over now, don't worry." He held me tighter and sighed. "Promise me, from now on, you won't hide anything from me. Let me protect you." I buried my head in his chest, greedily inhaling his unique, fresh scent, and sighed with happiness and contentment. I didn't ask for much. I just wanted to live a simple life with the man I loved. Life finally returned to normal. Aside from my mother's occasional visits, which could be resolved with money, things were calm. My new book was finished in 3 months. It wasn't a blockbuster like my first, but it wasn't bad either. We used the advance from the new book to decorate the new house and buy appliances and furniture. Ethan said with some annoyance, "You should have taken my advice and published your new book on a bigger platform." See, this one didn't earn as much. I didn't comment. The website wasn't huge, but I had always written there and the editors treated me well. "I know, I'll go to the website you mentioned next time, okay?" I coaxed him gently, and he gave me a helpless look. The house renovations were finally completed by the beginning of winter. On our first night in the new house, Ethan whispered in my ear, "Let's have our wedding next May, okay? I remember you said that not wearing a wedding dress is a woman's lifelong regret, and I don't want you to have that regret." I gladly agreed. Even though I couldn't stand, I still yearned for that moment in a wedding dress. Wendy took over one of the guest rooms, making herself completely at home, as if she were part of the family. On the day of the first snowfall, the website I wrote for planned a gathering for its top authors in the capital city. The editor sent me an invitation and called, urging me to attend. I really wanted to meet the legendary authors, but my immobility made me hesitate. Ethan offered to take time off to drive me there and pick me up when it was over. I looked at Wendy. She had nothing to do, so it would be perfect if she came with me. "I'm not going," Wendy refused flatly. "You're all writers, talking about profound topics. I won't have anything to say and will look like an idiot. I'm not going to embarrass myself." I understood immediately. She would feel inferior in that circle, so I didn't push her. In the end, Ethan took me. He got me settled in and repeatedly asked the staff to take care of me before rushing back. The gathering was a week long. The atmosphere was great, and I made many new author friends. But by the 5th day, I wanted to go home. I missed Ethan. The organizers arranged for an assistant to escort me back. I had originally planned for Ethan to pick me up after the event, but I didn't tell him I was coming back early. I wanted to surprise him. It was noon when I got home. The house was quiet, and no one was there. I washed up, changed my clothes, and went to my study. The fireplace was cold. I figured no one had been in the study while I was away, so it hadn't been lit. I heard the sound of the front door unlocking, followed by the cheerful, intimate laughter of a man and a woman. I slowed my movement to open my door, listening intently. "Honey, the steak at that restaurant was amazing, so tender and juicy." It was Wendy, her voice cloyingly sweet. "If my baby likes it, we'll go again tomorrow." I felt as if I'd been plunged into an icy abyss, the blood draining from my body. It was Ethan. "Do you have any money left? That bag I wanted today was only a little over 20,000, and you wouldn't even buy it for me." "Money's been a bit tight lately. Just be patient for a little while," Ethan said dotingly. "Have I ever broken a promise to you? That cripple gave her brother $50,000. It makes me sick just thinking about it." Wendy's voice was filled with a venom I had never heard before. "Don't underestimate her. Do you think she gave that money to her brother willingly?" Ethan's voice was cold. "Look at what happened to those two. One is disabled for life, and the other is in prison." "You mean she planned the whole thing?" "No way," Wendy asked in surprise. "She might fool others, but she can't fool me. You can tell from her novels how devious and meticulous her mind is. What's that line from the poem? A body-hiding night, vipers, and a long-standing crime. That's her to a T. Ethan led Wendy into the master bedroom. No wonder Wendy didn't want to go to the Capitol with me. I suddenly remembered the sound of running water in the background during Ethan's business trip. They thought no one was home, so they were being reckless. The door wasn't fully closed. The sounds crashed over me like tidal waves, assaulting every nerve in my body. "When can we finally be together openly?" Wendy complained. "Not yet. She controls the money. Even though she gives it to me whenever I ask, I can't ask for too much or she'll get suspicious." Ethan's voice, hoarse with satisfaction, had a ruthless edge. "Last time, I asked her to register her new book under my name, but she refused. She's too cautious. We have to take it slow." "Are you trying to get a taste of being a writer yourself?" Wendy teased in a low voice. "Want both fame and fortune?" What do you know, Ethan's tone was clearly displeased. "Registering it under my name means it's linked to my bank account, giving me financial freedom. And isn't this all for you? You're buying expensive makeup and bags all day. How am I supposed to support you without money?" "I'm sorry, honey, don't be mad," Wendy cooed apologetically, followed by the sound of rustling. "Don't worry, it won't be long. You think I worked at that chemical plant for all those years for nothing? Once she earns $5 million, I have a way to make her die from overwork." The word die hissed from between his teeth, laced with venom from hell. My body temperature plummeted to freezing. I thought he had betrayed me because of Wendy. I never imagined that from the first moment he met me. No, from the moment he suggested we meet in person, he had already planned everything. It wasn't a betrayal. He had never truly loved me. All the affection was a facade, all the vows were lies. My chest felt so tight I could barely breathe. I couldn't listen anymore. I frantically spun my wheelchair and rushed toward the study door. But I accidentally bumped the door, making a loud bang that startled Ethan and Wendy. I heard their hurried footsteps approaching. I took a deep breath, trying to calm my racing heart. The door was knocked on. "Holly, is that you? You're back." My throat was tight. I couldn't make a sound. "Could it be a burglar?" Wendy asked uncertainly. I knew I couldn't hide. I took another deep breath and slowly opened the door. Ethan's anxious and uneasy gaze scanned my face. "Holly, why do you look so pale? When did you get back?" I pretended not to notice his disheveled clothes and gave a weak smile. "You're both back. I got carsick, and since no one was home, I fell asleep. I still feel a little nauseous." Ethan visibly relaxed and tentatively reached out to feel my forehead. "Why didn't you call me to let me know you were back? I would have picked you up." "Were you just out here?" he asked, carefully studying my eyes. I heard a noise and thought there was a burglar. "Oh, I was thirsty and wanted to get a glass of water, but I was dizzy and lost my balance, so my wheelchair hit the door," I said, rubbing my temples weakly. "I'll get it for you." Wendy quickly poured a glass of water and handed it to me. "Are you hungry?" The concern in Ethan's eyes seemed incredibly genuine. "I'll make you some tomato and dough drop soup. It's a little sour, it'll help you feel better." I nodded, and he immediately rushed to the kitchen. Wendy pushed me into the living room, her eyes flickering. "I thought it was for 7 days. Why are you back early?" "It was boring, so I came back," I replied coldly. She fell silent, awkwardly observing me. After eating, I felt much better. Ethan lit the fireplace and said, "You just got back, you should rest for a couple of days." "Why are you in such a hurry to write?" I didn't want to go back to the master bedroom. Lying on that bed would make me want to vomit. I can't sleep if I have an idea in my head and don't write it down. I'll just jot down a rough outline. "Are you still using the same website?" I saw the eager look in his eyes and smirked. "That website you mentioned last time looks pretty good. I'll go register an account later." Ethan looked relieved. "Use my ID to register. It wouldn't be good if your editor found out you went to another site." "It's fine. My contract is per book, not as an author. I'm free to publish wherever I want." I opened the website and started typing. Ethan grew anxious. "Don't worry, even if you use my ID, no one will think I wrote it." I continued to enter my own information. Tell me, if you wanted to kill someone, what would be the best way? I asked casually, just as we had discussed plot points countless times before. Or what method would make the death look natural, like a sudden death or a slow decline from overwork? Ethan's facial muscles twitched, and his smile was stiff. Your ideas are always so unique. I'll step out for a bit so I don't disturb you. You should get some rest too. Watching his hasty retreat, tears instantly streamed down my face. The next day, they both went out, and I started searching everywhere. Ethan's words suggested he had brought something from the chemical plant that could make me die from overwork. Chemicals? Drugs? I was sweating from exhaustion but found nothing. Suddenly, an unknown number called. I answered, puzzled. It was a man's voice. When he said his name, I was shocked. After hanging up, I went out into the courtyard alone and stared at the solitary sycamore tree. I suppressed the turmoil of emotions inside me and quietly waited for the storm to arrive. A few mornings later, I received a call from Ethan. He was furious. You did this, didn't you? It had to be you knew all along, didn't you? So you've been quietly plotting to destroy me? I feigned confusion. What do you mean? What happened? Still playing innocent, you posted the video of me and Wendy online. Thanks to you, it's all over the internet now. Everyone's calling me a scumbag. Are you satisfied now? Ethan's voice went from a roar to a crack, his usual gentle demeanor completely gone. My husband and my best friend are having an affair, and you have the nerve to question me? I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. To my face, one of you pretended to be deeply in love, and the other, a loyal friend, while you were doing such disgusting things behind my back. If it hadn't been exposed, how much longer were you planning to deceive me? My barrage of questions left Ethan speechless and forced him to cool down and weigh his options. After a moment, he began to apologize softly. I'm sorry, Holly. I was angry and said things I didn't mean. I was wrong. It was a moment of weakness. I couldn't resist the temptation. I swear, it was just this once, really, only this once. Wait for me to come home and explain. Please forgive me, okay? This was the real Ethan. Wendy returned before Ethan. The moment she walked in, she pointed at my nose and yelled, "When did you find out? You actually had us followed." Her bloodshot eyes suddenly darted around. It was that day, wasn't it? You saw everything that day, but pretended not to, and then secretly hired someone to record us and post it online to ruin our reputation. Are you out of your mind? When this gets out, you'll be more embarrassed than us. I have no face left to lose, so what if people gossip? I want everyone to see your true colors. Ethan's definitely going to be fired, and you won't be squandering my money anymore. You should think about what you're going to use to sustain your love in the future. Her expression changed in an instant, and she glared at me, exasperated. You are such a devious and malicious woman. I have nothing to feel guilty about. If you hadn't stirred up trouble back then, I would be with Evan Cole right now. Stealing your husband now is just giving you a taste of your own medicine. You owe me this. Evan Cole kissed me and then asked me to help him pursue you. He brought it on himself. You knew I liked Evan Cole too, so you deliberately flaunted your relationship in front of me to provoke me and satisfy your own vanity and sense of superiority, didn't you? What a pair of frenemies we were. Wendy glared at me, her face contorted with rage. Suddenly, she let out a malicious sneer. Didn't I give you a mirror? I wanted you to look at your own crippled reflection every day, a disabled person. How dare you think Ethan would fall in love with you? So blissfully unaware of your own ugliness. These words were like sharp blades, cutting me to pieces. Wendy laughed wildly, pointing at my legs. Ethan said that every time he sees your deformed legs, he feels nauseous. She suddenly lowered her voice, staring at me meaningfully. He also secretly told me that you become incontinent when you drink. He secretly filmed your pathetic state to show me. It was hilarious if that got out online. What would happen to your image as a famous author? If I had a knife in my hand at that moment, I would have plunged it into her heart without hesitation. Ethan, so this is how he secretly mocked me. At the peak of my anger, I became calm, my eyes filled with a cold fury. A moment later, Ethan stumbled through the door, interrupting us. He fell to his knees before my wheelchair, trying to take my hand. I recoiled in disgust. "Holly, please forgive me this one time. I was foolish. I promise I will never do anything to hurt you again." Wendy stared at him in disbelief. How can you be so spineless?" Ethan shot her a harsh glare. "Shut up." Wendy looked like she wanted to say something but swallowed her words after seeing the look on Ethan's face. "You know I don't tolerate betrayal. Let's get a divorce. You leave with nothing," I said, my face devoid of expression. Ethan clung to my wheelchair, preventing me from moving, his expression sorrowful. "Holly, are you really going to throw away everything we've built? Without me, who will take care of you? Have you thought about that?" "Don't be impulsive," I laughed coldly. "You think I can't survive without you? How ridiculous. You've been lying to me from the very beginning. You never loved me. You were just after my money and my fame. You kept pushing me to use your ID to sign contracts and write books online. I saw through your intentions long ago. Once a book became a hit, you could claim all the royalties and boast to others that you wrote it. Ha. You think you're so noble, so selfless, but you're nothing but a thorough hypocrite and a thief." Smack! A sudden slap stunned me, my face throbbing with pain. Ethan, exposed and furious, dropped the act. "You venomous scorpion, what right do you have to talk about me?" Ethan roared, raising his fists and kicking me viciously. "You think you can escape my grasp? I'm going to lock you up and force you to make money for me. If you don't write, I'll starve you. I have plenty of ways to make you die quietly. And I have you to thank for teaching me so many ways to kill someone. Ha. Wendy watched excitedly as Ethan assaulted me, gleefully observing my pained form on the floor. "You really think you're something special. To us, you're just a money-making machine that types words behave, and will let you live a little longer." A warm, sticky liquid trickled down from my forehead. I gritted my teeth and said nothing, my gaze fixed on Ethan's face. My stare made Ethan uneasy, and his attacks became more frantic. "You want to look at me? I'll give you something to look at. I'll beat you to death. Look at me again, and I'll gouge your eyes out. Open up, police." The door was suddenly pounded on with thunderous force. I breathed a sigh of relief. I had just been thinking that if the police didn't arrive soon, I might actually die at his hands. Ethan and Wendy panicked. They hadn't expected the police to show up. "You called the police?" Ethan looked at me with cold, murderous eyes. I pulled the corners of my mouth into a cold smile. "You still don't know me well enough. Do I seem like the type to just wait to be killed?" When the police entered and saw me beaten and bruised, they immediately handcuffed Ethan. I pulled a recording pen from my pocket and handed it to the police. The incident made headlines again, but what I did next shocked everyone. I signed a letter of forgiveness and let Ethan go. Netizens called me a love-struck fool who deserved to be cheated on and beaten. I filed for divorce. With evidence of his affair and domestic violence, and the fact that I had earned almost all the money, he was forced to leave with nothing. Ethan was fired from his job, and he and Wendy left town in disgrace. A few days later, the doorbell rang. I opened it and smiled at my visitor. "Please come in." Mark's concerned eyes scanned me. "Are you okay?" I gave him a faint smile. Looking at his stern face, I couldn't believe that the first time I met him, he was crying like a child. The unknown call I had received that day was from Mark. He had said, "Ethan and Wendy are having an affair." Did you know? I knew, but hearing it from someone else still made my heart sink. I divorced Wendy because I found out she was cheating, but I didn't see the man's face at the time. I only found out later that it was your husband. Mark continued, "I hesitated for a long time about whether to tell you, but I felt you were in a terrible situation, even worse than mine. You don't deserve to be treated like this, so I wanted to tell you the truth so you could make plans." So that was it. Wendy had told me she divorced Mark because he cheated, but she was the one who had been unfaithful. So they had been colluding for even longer than I thought. I arranged to meet with Mark. When he arrived that day, I noticed he was thinner and looked haggard. "I was never the one who cheated," he said with a bitter smile after I told him what Wendy had said. "I saw her sending flirtatious messages to a man from a secret account, So I investigated her and got proof of her checking into a hotel with him. I was angry, but I still held out a sliver of hope that she would reconsider for our daughter's sake. Mark's voice was heavy with gloom and anger. Our daughter is only 2, how can she lose her mother? If she had been willing to come back, I would have forgiven her. But you don't know what Wendy did. She's not human, Mark covered his face, his voice trembling. One day, I came home and our daughter was gone. I thought Wendy had taken her to her grandmother's, so I called, but my mother-in-law said they hadn't come. I panicked. I couldn't reach Wendy on her phone. I was up all night, searching everywhere for her. By the next morning, I had no choice but to call the police. The police helped me contact Wendy. It turned out she had blocked me. She was forcing me to divorce her. In the end, I agreed. As long as she gave me our daughter, I would not only divorce her but also give her all our savings. But that venomous woman, she gave our daughter to a human trafficker, Mark sobbed. She told me through gritted teeth, if you don't divorce me, you'll never see your daughter again. It's your fault she's gone. Looking at the man crying like a child, my own eyes stung. What happened? Did you find the child? Mark wiped his tears. We found her. Thanks to the police's swift action, they caught the trafficker. When I held my daughter in my arms, I was terrified. If we had been just a few minutes later, I might have lost her forever. I sighed deeply. Wendy wasn't arrested? She claimed she didn't know the person was a trafficker, that she had just asked them to watch the child for a few days and had no idea this would happen. Mark's tone was dejected, tinged with resentment. The police had no evidence. After all, she's the child's mother. Who would believe she could do something so monstrous? But I know she did it on purpose. My daughter is my everything. I will make that vicious woman pay, he said, his face pale, his teeth clenched. Then, are you willing to help me? I asked softly. When I calmly laid out my plan, Mark's face turned ashen with fear. He stared at me in disbelief for a long time, but in the end, he agreed to help. I breathed a sigh of relief and had him install cameras in the room. That was how the video of Ethan and Wendy was recorded. Mark also helped me get diazepam. With Mark's help, the plan went smoothly. A few days later, I gave him a bank card and 2 ID cards instructing him, just find a homeless person. Don't risk it yourself. He took them grimly and stuffed them into the pocket of his down jacket. I wheeled myself to the storage room and pointed to several black plastic bags on the floor. Take them. Mark pulled the hood of his jacket over his head, picked up the bags, and said before leaving, call me if you need anything. I replied, okay. But in my heart, I hoped it would be the last time we ever saw each other. Later, I heard that Wendy's family had reported her missing. Ethan's family did the same. But the police investigation revealed that Ethan had made purchases in Stanton City, 2,000 miles away, so they assumed the two had gone there together. I tossed the last piece of leg bone into the fire, watching with a mixture of fascination and excitement as the flames gradually consumed it, turning it into a charred piece of black. Staring at the roaring fire, a rapturous smile spread across my lips. Ethan, this way you can be with me forever. Every cold winter from now on, the heat from this fireplace will carry the warmth of your flesh and bone. Are you angry? Heh, you shouldn't have messed with me. You liked my work so much. Didn't the darkness and horror in it make you hesitate? It seems you're not very smart after all. If you were, you would have known to stay away from a woman like me. The farther, the better. You wanted to run away with Wendy, and you wanted me to be your ATM to fund your pleasure. Hess, you're such a naughty child playing with fire. Even in death, I will keep you two apart. She's been disposed of somewhere else. I don't know the exact location. That was Mark's anger to deal with. As I muttered to myself, I recalled the last meal I had with them. The day the divorce was finalized, Ethan called me. Holly, I regret that things have come to this. I really do like you. You're the only woman I've ever admired. I know it's too late to say anything now, and I have no face to stay in this city. Before I leave, I want to see you one last time. Can I? His tone was so sincere it almost moved me. So I agreed and invited Wendy as well. Ethan wore an expression of inconsolable grief, sniffing. I'll just go to the bedroom to pack my things. I smiled faintly, pretending not to see the secret glance he exchanged with Wendy. Wendy got up eagerly. Holly, you have a sensitive stomach. I'll go warm up a glass of milk for you. I idly opened my phone and casually clicked on the security camera app. I saw Ethan take a small glass vial of white powder from a hidden compartment in the desk and put it in his pocket. So that's where it was hidden. No wonder I could never find it. A small smile played on my lips. The two returned, one after the other. Seeing me still at the dining table, looking down at my phone, they exchanged a meaningful glance. Holly, drink your milk first. Wendy pushed the glass in front of me. I pretended to be replying to a message, not noticing Ethan's subtle movements. It's too hot. I'll drink it later. Then, I opened a bottle of expensive red wine I had just bought and poured it into the glasses in front of them. I raised my glass. Here, try this 07 Lafayette. Even though you've both wronged me, one of you was my best friend for years, and the other was the husband I once loved most. I don't want hatred to be our final chapter. Today is the last time we'll see each other. Let's part on good terms and never meet again. The smile in my eyes was warm and sincere. Perhaps their eagerness to poison me made them less cautious. In any case, they were very enthusiastic. I watched as they raised their glasses to their lips, the blood-red liquid flowing into their mouths. They put down their glasses with satisfaction. As they collapsed, Ethan remained conscious for a brief moment, pointing at me in agony and despair. Diazepam mixed with alcohol can be fatal. Mark deliberately had a homeless person find Ethan's bank card and their two ids, thoughtfully writing the PIN on the back of the card. After successfully using the card, the homeless person didn't dare stay in town and fled to another city, creating a false trail of their escape. Years later, Wendy's body was finally discovered, and that led the investigation back to Ethan. That day, I put the final period on my last work. Then I meticulously created a murder scene for myself, my true final masterpiece. I buried myself in the deep snow, building a grave where no weeds would ever grow. The end.